Hey everybody, it's Nick.
Hola, Nick!
Just wanted to take a few minutes to let you fine folks know how you can contact us. You can find us on Twitter at the It's Too Wordy 1 and on Instagram. Just look for It's Too Wordy. We also have a Discord set up, The Haunted Log. If you like what you hear, maybe considering throwing us some of your spare change. Maybe some of your hard-earned loot. Maybe some stuff you find in your car cushions. Who knows? Anything will go a long way. And you can do that by visiting our Patreon page at patreon.com/HouseBTS. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoy this episode.
This week on It's Too Wordy, The Revenge of Obnoxio. Welcome everybody to this week's episode of It's Too Wordy, the comic book podcast where three buddies discuss comics from their childhood and today. I'm Kirk.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Nick.
How we doing this week, guys?
Feeling very whimsical.
Whimsical.
I studied.
Word of the day.
Word of the day. Word of the day is whimsical.
That's why I went with, yeah. It was that or grotesque, and whimsical.
It's kind of grotesque outside, so it's kind of nice being in here doing a podcast. Alright, so on this week's episode, we are going to be talking about Crazy #1, and to continue Horror Month, Swamp Thing #9. Alright, let's get to talking about Crazy.
This book was crazy.
It was nuts. But I don't know, was it a good nuts?
It felt forced.
Some of it did.
Okay, there was one really funny part that I actually laughed out loud, and it's in the game section. It's in the middle. They have a board game, and it's the standard going around the Marvel universe kind of thing.
The Marvel Land game.
Yep. But join the brute force, disappear forever. I laughed so hard because that was a series from the 90s that
Dolphin
was yes, and a kangaroo or whatever. I bought it and I thought, oh man, this is going to be like the next big thing. I was 13, 15. Yeah, it was the stupidest book. And it's not like you can find an issue anywhere because it is horrible.
I've only seen issue 1 a couple of times, but yeah, it's not good.
No, it's not.
I like the part where they gave Wolverine all the awards. I'm like, yeah, that's accurate.
Yeah, pretty much.
He's in everything.
He is in everything.
And he gets the most pub.
I like the Dazzler comment. That first comic was actually really pretty good. The whole, she's singing and that she wasn't
Firestar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, that was funny.
It was.
I like that one.
I like the astonishing Aunt May shrinking down to nothingness.
Yeah.
In hopes somebody picks that idea up and runs with it. Some of the rejected titles are fun.
Like the Tub Mariner.
Ghost Hitcher. He's hitchhiking.
The Age of Jarvis.
What now?
I like the Death of Basic Cable.
Strife is like, I'm the better clone.
Yep.
And when they're in watching Basic Cable and Wolverine walks in, and he's like, what are you watching? And then he's like, ooh, Jean Grey's on. And she's talking about ditching Scott.
That was House of X's?
Yeah. House of X's.
Thought they did a little too much with Man-Thing.
They did a lot with Man-Thing.
It's like, yeah.
But the interviews with Ralph Macchio was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Because he's like a huge legend, and then there's all these kids that run Marvel now who have no idea who he is.
Karate Kid, right?
That's who I thought. Just kidding.
I did have to do a double take at that. I was looking at that for a minute. I'm like, I don't see him in this picture at all. What? Oh, yeah, okay.
And there's literally a letters page.
Yep, there is a letters
just
page.
Letters.
Just letters.
It was really dumb, but it was a fun dumb. They were willing to make fun of themselves for it.
Yeah, Obnoxio looked a little scarier than he did back in the day.
Yeah.
He's a little scarier.
He's a little creepier now.
Yeah, he's a little creepy.
Yeah.
Thanks to it.
But it's good to have him back. I don't know if anybody out there who knows who Obnoxio is, but go back and listen to episode 5 or something like that. Was it worth $5?
No, not for me.
No.
I didn't even know it was $5 until I was coming out.
Like, what?
I was reading it and I closed the cover. I'm like, I paid $5 for this?
And it's crazy. So, crazy. When I went to go to the store and pick it up, I was expecting there to be 3 issues, right? In the place I bought it from, there was 30 issues up there. I was like, why did you order so many? You ordered 4 Batman, but you ordered 30 Crazies.
Yeah.
You should have spent the money and bought the back issues from the old magazine and sold those.
Give it a 3.
I'll go 2.5. I mean, because I found enough enjoyment out of it. Otherwise, it was complete waste.
Yeah, it just felt forced to me, like they were trying to be funny, and it just wasn't hitting.
Yeah. I give it about a 3. It would be, if it was in the same size as Mad Magazine like it used to be, that would be a lot better.
It'd be $9 if it was.
Right.
Yeah.
Because Mad Magazine is like $7. But, okay, so I have an idea. Since Mad Magazine stopped publishing, hire everybody that runs Mad Magazine.
And have them come do crazy.
Leave Warner Brothers and DC and come to Marvel and do crazy.
Yeah.
Just because some parts of Mad Magazine were actually funny. Some of it was really stupid, but
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
it's always been like that.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
how it was.
But yeah, you can't get any worse than this.
The bar has been set very, very low, guys, at Mad Magazine. So up next, we're going to do Swamp Thing number 9. I enjoyed the classic Swamp Thing. What'd you guys think?
I enjoyed it. I've read recent Swamp Thing. I've never read any old Swamp Thing. And I really like this. I'm like, I might have to check out some more Swamp Thing.
Yeah, well, here you go. Written by Len Wein and art by Bernie Wrightson. And Bernie gets it so perfect. Like, his artwork is... I don't think you could get anybody better for that book than Bernie.
Mm-mm.
But this is the time where Alec Holland still thinks that he can return back into Alec Holland. And
Yep.
when Alan Moore takes over, he explores that he's not Alec Holland. He is a plant with Alec Holland's memories. So he can never return back.
Okay.
Kind of like Blade Runner.
Kind of. Is he a replicant?
Or is he not?
This issue is about Swamp Thing hitching a ride on a train.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 guys try to mug him. And he pushes them right out of the train door.
Right out of the train.
And he starts going back to where he became Swamp Thing to work on some equipment and see if he can revert back to Alec.
And there was an alien
There's an alien
in the barn. A very compassionate and, what do you think, empathetic? No.
Very empathetic.
Empathetic, because
Empathetic set.
he kills them, or he harms them, and he immediately, like, these humans break really easily.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, this is awesome! An alien that has, like, empathy and feelings for hurting somebody else. It's not just
Mars attacks.
Mars attacks, and they eviscerate you right there, right?
Well, that's when he knocks Swamp Thing out, and he takes him back to the swamp
Mm-hmm.
because he's like, he must know something that inside Swamp Thing needs to be with the swamp in
Yeah.
order to heal back up. And it's the humans that are the evil little bastards in this.
Yep.
Because there's a branch of the U.S. government that figures out that, well, we've tracked a UFO that's landing in Louisiana. We better go down there and investigate. And they try to capture him, and I don't remember. Do they try to do experiments on him, or
No, they haven't even gotten to that
I
point.
think
They
just
captured him.
him.
They're in the general or whatever took the radio
the radio tube? Or the-
tube, so they couldn't contact help. So because they were planning on taking him out.
Right.
I enjoyed it a lot.
I dug it.
I think it's not something that you'd start off with. I don't think. I think you'd have to read some other Len Wein and kind of get a feel
Mhm.
for what he writes, and then go into this, because it's not a character you can really jump into and go, all right.
So I picked issue 9. I can't even talk today because that was my first Swamp Thing book,
Okay.
and trying to jump into that was like, this isn't the movie. I have no idea what's going on.
Nope.
What is this? Aliens? Who is this blonde girl and her husband? Like, had no idea.
Yeah.
And so I wanted you guys to, if you guys haven't read Swamp Thing, then kind of get that same experience. Like, well, I know who he is. I know what he does.
Right.
But
I dug it. I thought it was awesome.
I did Scott Snyder's run. He did a really good job with it. And I thought that was like the great Swamp Thing. And then reading this, I'm like, yeah, no. Snyder did a good job, but this was good. This hit home.
the next issue is really good.
Yeah.
But there's some weird ones where he goes to Gotham and he meets Batman, and
I saw that.
Of course they do.
I was flipping through and there's Batman in him. I'm like, come on, man.
there's no reason he needs to be in Gotham.
No, there's no reason Batman needs to be in a swamp.
No. But,
Rant.
I think this is just one character that doesn't get the love that he deserves, because they always put like people who don't get the character to write him.
What was it we read? Was it Justice League Dark?
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the first time I'd really read anything with him in it, and I was like, this isn't a good interpretation. I need to find some good stuff.
Yeah, it wasn't very Swamp Thingy. But
no.
the
Swamp Thingy.
The thing I liked about that story was it was really in depth and detailed, and it gave you a new character for the new Floronic Man. And
that was a good part of it. It was just,
but shows like he's like, no, you're a plant, you stupid idiot. You're a plant like me.
Yeah.
But at least they haven't got into like it's not the Congress of Trees, but it's
the Parliament.
Parliament of Trees. They haven't got into that yet. He's not the god of the swamp yet.
Was it? I mean, I liked this because felt like it was a very much standalone issue.
Mm-hmm.
It did feel like a standalone issue.
It showed the standard. Okay, there's something here. I'm going to fight it. Oh wait, we're on the same side. Thing, which gets old after a while. But and then having an empathetic alien that was like, yeah, I was going to actually help you guys out a lot if you helped me. But you just pissed me off. See ya.
I'm out of here.
I'm gonna hurt you.
And it's rare for a Swamp Thing to come up to a character that's roughly his size, but 200 or 300 pounds heavier than him.
Yeah.
And he's just like, what is this thing? And they both stare at each other like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
It's a standoff.
Yeah. I can't keep saying it's one of my favorites because I keep saying that about everything.
Well,
I understand why on this.
Yeah, I get it. It kept me entertained.
I get it.
I really wish that I have another issue. I think it's number 7, where Bernie Wrightson was at Chicago and I couldn't go, so I gave my buddy a copy of it and to go sign it, and he got to talk to Bernie about Swamp Thing.
Oh, wow.
Didn't get to. I was like, he's never going to be around again. I've never seen him again.
Yeah, I liked it that much. I'm gonna give it a 5.
I go 4.
Yeah?
Yeah. I really enjoyed it. I mean, it for a character I don't know a ton about, I did enjoy it. Just, it is an older book. Kind of had, so I deducted a point just because it's like, radio bulb, huh? Okay.
You still use vacuum tubes? What the hell?
I liked the empathetic alien. That's why.
Yeah.
I loved it. I got to see an alien in a different light.
Sure.
So how about you, Nick?
Probably about 4.5. It's got a classic cover.
Mm-hmm.
Like totally classic cover. I don't know. I think they could have done more with Abby in there. I mean, she shows up for like 1 page.
I think that's what helped me like it a little bit more, because it's more focused on
him.
And every other Swamp Thing book outside of that Snyder run that I've ever touched is, here's Swamp Thing talking about this as it's about the Floronic Man, or this, what's his name? Anton...
Arcane,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, great. Where's Swamp Thing?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the
He's
title
a
of the
backup
book.
in his own book.
It's a Swamp Thing book. Okay.
I had this toy when I was like 6. It was like a short-lived toy. I can't remember what it's called, but you could smash them and you could stretch them, and you could apparently pull their arms off and they would like reattach. And I had a Swamp Thing of it. It came out of an egg. They lied.
They lied.
They lied. I had it for 1 day, and this happens to everybody. Like, I've seen reviews on it. I've seen toy things on YouTube, and they always talk about. Everybody in the comments is like, I had Swamp Thing, and I just ripped his arms off that first day, and it never reattached because it said it was out of some kind of space age like foam that would reattach itself.
You didn't read the fine print where it said,
"Do not
need glue."
Yeah, need glue to reattach his arms.
I was like, well, that's stupid. But
hopefully that wasn't too expensive.
I don't know. It was just some stupid toy from the 80s.
Yeah.
Somebody on the line will tell me what it is, but no, I think it's weird because Swamp Thing's a character that has been around for our entire life. Like, he's been in movies and TV shows and cartoons.
My first introduction was the second Swamp Thing movie
with Heather Locklear.
Yep. That's what I remember. I don't remember the first one, but I remember the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to forget the second one.
I didn't say it was good. I'm just saying that's when I first got introduced to the character.
I kind of wish that DC would bring out a dark Justice League movie and have Swamp Thing in it. Kind of like bring him back. In that TV show, it got canceled on the first episode. It's like, you tried, but
not very hard.
Yeah. All right. So, what's the next?
All right. So, what's the D-list character this week, Ryan?
Cable. Matt Cable.
I
Got all excited for a
I
second.
was like, Cable's in this?
Yeah.
Damn it. He's in every book.
So Matt Cable's first appearance was Swamp Thing #1. Lynn Wein and Bernie Wrightson is the creators. So he was a government agent assigned to protect Alec and Linda Holland. He was believed that Swamp Thing was responsible for the Hollands' death and set out to avenge his friends. Swamp Thing did reveal to Cable that he was Alec. This is before Alan Moore, causing Cable to let him go. Matt Cable, that is, married Abigail Arcane. Eventually, Cable's mind was damaged, resulting in his ability to alter reality. He could only access the power while stressed or intoxicated. And after a fight with Abigail, he went to get her, but was drunk and crashed his car, mortally injuring himself. At this point, Anton Arcane, who was dead, possessed a fly and told Cable he could help revive him. So Cable allows the fly to be swallowed by him, I guess. And now Anton possessed Cable. Matt Cable did manage to fight off Arcane, but not before he killed Abigail. Matt had enough power to save one life. It would be his or Abigail's, and he saved Abigail's. When he died, he was in the dreaming, and he was revived by Morpheus as a raven, to never be heard from, nevermore. I like Edgar Allan Poe. And then he just makes some appearances as a raven in the dreaming.
Okay. All right, everybody. It's time for everybody's favorite segment, the Random Reads. All right, how many you got this week?
5.
You got 5?
I got 2, but one is 4 issues long.
Okay. Ryan, how many you got? 2? All right. I have 3, so I'll go first. So I picked up X-Men #1.
No, not you.
Yeah, I wish I could. I'm not sure how I feel about it. One, I think Pepe Larraz should be the artist for this book, and he's not, because he was awesome in House of X.
Who did it? Who did that book?
It was something you...
I didn't do it.
I was going to say, no wonder you didn't have a lot of time this week.
Lionel Francis Yu. Never heard of him before. I think he's one of the new artists or something. So it's a very Cyclops-centric first issue. It talks about when Professor Xavier brought him in and gave him the ruby quartz glasses and how he could open his eyes again, and because he was walking around blind because he didn't want to kill anybody. So starts out there in Orcus, and they're trying to take out the rest of the Orcus agency. They end up wiping out all these soldiers. And
is that a karma deduction?
Yeah, that would be a karma deduction.
Yeah.
And it wasn't Cyclops that wiped them out. It was Magneto and Polaris.
Yeah, never mind then.
Basically, they take out the rest of the Orcus. There's like 1,000 Orcus guards standing there, and Magneto just wipes them all out. And then it looks like they're man-apes attacking them.
Yeah.
And Magneto says, "Go, I'll take care of them." And they go in and they find somebody who's had to do with the whole Powers of X where they become robotic. Anyway, they find this person who's on their way to being android, robot, person thing. We'll just call it that, because Magneto shows up and Cyclops is like, "That didn't take you very long." And he's like, "Yeah, it was easy." And then this issue is all over the place, man. So they rescue these kids, they go back to Krakoa. Magneto is now like the father figure to all these kids on Krakoa, just like Wolverine and Exodus. They have all 3 been shown as like the hero of the children, right? And Cyclops goes home, and this is where it gets really weird for me, right? So he goes home, and it's called the Summer Home, and it's on the blue side of the moon, right? Because that's where Jean died, and I guess he decided to... Well, she didn't really die. She got taken over by the clone or whatever. The 9 million times she's died. So you're thinking, okay, there's going to be like Rachel and like Corsairs there, and... I say Rachel?
Yes.
Jean, Nate, Cable, young Cable, not old man Cable, because he says, "Mom, can I trade my gun?" And I'm like, oh god, this is so stupid. And
Vulcan, right?
Vulcan and Vulcan and Wolverine have kind of a funny interaction because Vulcan's grilling and Wolverine says he likes his steak rare. And he's like, I don't want to fight, warrior. I shall make your steak medium rare. And Wolverine goes after him, right? I'm like, okay. And the weird thing about this is if you look at the map of the summer house, Wolverine, Jean Grey, and Cyclops' room are all on the same side and they're attached. So I took it as Cyclops and Wolverine were going to have a Devil's Three-Way with Jean Grey. And I'm like, I don't get where this is going. Okay?
I think you do.
No, I'm like, I loved Powers of 10 and House of X, and it's like they just, like I told you yesterday, they just blew their load in those 12 issues, and now we're getting this. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm going to give it another issue, right? But I wasn't very fond of this. So I'm going to have to give it like a 3, 2.5, 3.
Three-way?
I'm like, where is this going? I know where I think it's going. I'm just like, why is it going like this? They haven't liked each other very much, and now they're going to become Eskimo brothers?
Maybe it's not like that at all.
Maybe it isn't, because everything I've read is they're saying, oh, Hickman doesn't write like that. You just have to read more. Right? I'm like, okay, I'm just saying, as an X-Men fan, I've been waiting for this all summer.
But I'm bummed.
And I'm still confused, and I've read it twice, and I'm like, hopefully this makes sense soon.
And this is Hickman?
This is Hickman.
I remember a while back, you're like, I want Hickman to do all my X-Men. Now it sounds like you're kind of like, yeah, maybe.
After reading this first issue, I'm like, I'm just not sure. I do want him to do it, and I was excited for him to be doing, and it's just not. Like I said, I got to read issue 2, and maybe they'll give me more of the story than what we're getting, because right now I'm not wanting to read X-Men ever again. I'm going to run far away from this title. So
And you're still giving it a 3.
It's mainly because of the writer. I know he likes to give you just little tidbits of his story. So that's why I'm still giving it a 3, because I don't want to completely not like it. Alright, so Nick picked out for me, just had me pick one of the Twilight Zone comic books. And it was really campy, and the stories were kind of fun. The first one was my favorite. The rich guy, he married one woman, killed her so he could collect the insurance company money. He married a second woman and killed her so he could get the insurance money from that. And he's like, oh, look at me. I was a bank teller 2 years ago, and now I'm a millionaire. And so he finds another woman, and he marries her, and he kills her, and and all of a sudden strange things start happening. Like he starts receiving cash in the mail. He goes and uses a payphone, and quarters or dimes or however much it cost him. I think it was a dime in the 70s. The dimes would just start shooting out of the coin part of the phone. So, yeah, that one was my favorite. Then there's a story about a guy who's trying to get away from a bounty hunter, but come to find out the bounty hunter was shot by him a week ago, and he's just hallucinating about it. And then the last story was about an alien landing, and the aliens are like the size of ants. And so it talks about how they were trying to invade, and then they realized that everything was 1,000 times bigger than they were.
I've got to ask, did you have Ant-Man's voice from the Fantastic Four radio program running in your head when you heard the Martians talk?
No, I didn't, which is depressing because it would have been hilarious. But my favorite part was I watched The Twilight Zone, as I bet you did, and you probably did too. Yeah. And it had the guy always at the beginning. And
Ron Sterling.
Ron Sterling, yeah. And he would be at the beginning and he'd explain the story, and then at the end he's like, and this is what happens when you're in the Twilight Zone. Right? It was awesome. I want to read more of them. I enjoyed them that much. So
I think it's Rod, not Ron. Sorry.
Yeah, it's Rod Sterling. Right. The cover's really awesome. It's just really campy fun. And I'd give it a 4.5.
Wow.
Wow.
I enjoyed it that much. I just couldn't stop reading them. So
Yeah, I found a whole bunch of them in the dollar box. So if you want to borrow more,
yeah, I'm thinking
Yes.
I might have to borrow a couple more. And then I kind of piggybacked on Nick's idea of going to a store and just picking up something random and reading it. So I picked up 7 Days by Gail Simone and Jose Luis and
what company is that?
Lion Force. So the cover looked awesome, so I was like, yeah, that'll work. And then I read the story, and it's awesome. It's talking about, I guess, in this timeline, 2 years prior, meteors had hit Earth and was just like almost wiped out the would have wiped out the population, but they sent these astronauts up into space, and they came back with superpowers. And all of a sudden, 2 years later, these, I'll call them black Silver Surfer looking guys, because that's the only thing how I could describe it, is they kind of look like Silver Surfer, show up, and they're trying to figure out how to pierce the armor, and that nothing's working. They've tried everything, and they just can't get through. And of course, there's like a TNA segment with a YouTuber here who's trying to be a journalist, but she realized if she shows cleavage, she gets more hits on her blog. So, and then they show an arms runner get pulled over by a state patrolman, and you get to meet the superhero Accel, Accell. So he's kind of like the Flash, just not as cool yet, I guess, because this is the first issue. And then there's a guy, his name's David Powell, and his nickname is Noble, and him and his wife are flying, and they're talking about how it's nice to finally be back together after what happened in space. And his teammate, Valentina Resnick Baker, who is called the Summit, shows up because there's some kind of disturbance going on. And it's the Black Silver Surfers again. That's why everybody's there. And they try to go up and meet him, and Accel touches him, and the guy didn't do anything, and his hand busts open and starts bleeding. So they're like, oh, this isn't normal, right? So all of a sudden, they start attacking, and the team of heroes start defending the people and getting them to safety. And Noble goes after one of them, and then you see what they are, because there's like, the thing's like a body, and it's got like jagged teeth and looks pretty menacing.
Yeah.
So it's finally showing its true colors, and it kills Noble. And the person who's in control of these aliens says, I'm going to show you mercy. I'm going to obliterate you all, but I'm not without mercy. And it says, at the end, he says, you have 7 days. And that's where it ends. I did not know what to expect from this when I picked it up. Gail Simone's awesome.
Yep.
The art is fantastic. I'm going to start reading this one. That's how much I enjoyed it. I want to see where the story goes.
Good.
So, yeah. So that's what I got.
Cool. All right. First, I'm going to do what I said that I was going to do last week, like Kirk did. Just go find a random issue off the wall. And I'm in like this weird bad girl kind of phase, like Vampirella, Red Sonja.
Are you crushing on the bad girls?
Well, Ryan did a Lady Death, so I couldn't do a Lady Death. So I wanted something like that. And so I picked up Chastity from Dynamite. It's the 25th anniversary of Chaos Comics. And so I was like, all right, I'll read this. It's by Leah Williams and Daniel Main, and it's pretty good.
Yeah?
Like, it's pretty good.
Awesome.
Like, this is number 2. I didn't read number 1. So it starts off, they're hanging from chains. They get abducted, and they're being, like, going to be auctioned off for human trafficking. And it's like, if you would have picked the worst girl to pick for human trafficking, would be a half vampire, crazy bitch, right?
True story.
She's hanging next to a girl, and she's like, go back to sleep. Pretend you're asleep, because they won't touch you if you're asleep anymore. She's like, what do you mean touching me?
Anymore.
They're like, they like it when you scream, so just go to sleep. She's like, fuck that. And she just rips her chains off, and she's like, guy comes next to her, she just bites his neck out. And then they go around and it's really disturbing. Like they go around and they like are going to kill every one of the guards and all the people that are on the boat, and they come across a whole bunch more doors with a whole bunch more women in it. But they're not just women; they're young women, like little girls and older women. There's a little girl, and she's like, they're going to auction off my V card tonight, and she's like, no, they're not.
Wow.
And so yeah, it's there's some awesome artwork. There's some panels in it that are just panoramas. So they start from one side of the book and go to the other side, and it's just Chastity kicking ass through each panel.
Nice.
Like just bam, 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 and then it would go to another one, and then bam, 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 and like it's just like you just watch her like kicking everybody's ass. I liked it. I don't know if I'm going to buy him anymore, but it was pretty good. About a 3.5, maybe 4.
Okay.
The artwork is really good. The story's disturbing as all hell.
Yeah.
But
especially if you have a little girl.
yeah, so I liked it. So 3.5.
Nice.
And then Ryan gave me a random book, and I was like, Ryan, if this sucks, I'm giving you a Legion of Superheroes because he hates them the most.
No.
Power pack.
It's a toss-up. Okay. This book is by John Wagner and Alan Grant and Robin Smith, and it's called The Bogeyman. And it's got a guy that looks like Humphrey Bogart on the cover. It's very noirish. And it says, coming or showing at Christmas, the BBC film adaptation of The Bogeyman starring Robbie Coltrane. You can find this on YouTube. You can watch the movie.
Yeah?
Right? So this book is insane. It's a noir novel set in Glasgow, and it's hard to read because everybody's speaking in a Scottish accent, an English accent, and then an American accent.
And then you got to find out the slang.
Yeah, there's a handy dandy glossary in the back of all the slang that's used in here.
Nice.
And it tells you what it is. If that should be in the front.
That should be in the front.
Because
I agree.
they're using rhyming slang in it. So you're like, what the hell does that mean? Oh, okay. You're saying he's crazy, but it's something completely off. So this starts off in a mental institution on New Year's, and somebody escapes. And then it cuts to the guy that's Humphrey Bogart. He looks exactly like him.
Does he?
And he's waiting for the fat man. Right?
Fat man?
So you're like, fat man? Is he? And then he says Gutman. And you're like, oh, the Maltese Falcon. This guy believes that he's in the Maltese Falcon. So every time, like, there's criminals that come along, they steal, like, a load full of turkeys. This is after Christmas, so they can't get rid of these turkeys. So they were supposed to, like, take a truck full of VCRs, but instead they take a truck full of turkeys because they're stupid. And their boss is like, get rid of these, right? And it's just, it's really hard to describe. It's 4 issues long, and it's really thick. There's a lot in this book. It's
Wall-to-wall
really,
text?
it's really good. Oh my God. Yeah. And it's text you cannot read. But it is so good. Like, they're like, no, he's not just doing the Maltese Falcon. He's doing every Bogart movie. So every time he'd run into something, his reality will change. Like, he'll go into another, like, thing. So it is crazy. He believes that inside these frozen turkeys is the Maltese Falcon, and they're all worth millions of dollars, and he's got to get rid of them. But I would definitely get this, find it. And Ryan, if you did not notice this, right here is an autograph. Right here. But it says, for Jason, Lang may your lum reek, Alan Grant. What the fuck
does
Alan
that
Grant
mean?
I have no idea.
What the fuck does that mean?
I don't know.
We gotta ask Jason. Jason, so if
Look
you're
at-
listening,
Right.
What?
Anybody
Is
in Europe, anybody in England or Scotland that is listening to this, we know there's some of you guys. What the hell does Lang may your lum reek mean? Because I want to know.
It's not in the back in the glossary?
No.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not Googling it because I don't want to have
You
whatever
don't
pictures
want-
that is. But yeah, it's awesome. It's only 4 issues. Ryan says he bought it for $1.
yeah,
Nice.
If you can go out and find this, I would recommend it. I mean, the artwork is incredible. The story is great. If you like Humphrey Bogart movies, like I do,
Yep.
you like noir tales,
Yep.
fuck, this book is for you. I mean, this book is crazy, and it's like watching
No, Guy Ritchie.
Guy Ritchie. It's like watching a
He's
Guy
watching
Ritchie movie.
Guy Ritchie movie?
Yeah,
Okay.
just
sweet.
turned up a little bit.
Just up a little. Okay.
So it's like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels
Okay. Snatch.
with an insane dude.
It's probably Snatch
Yeah.
because you can't understand what the fuck he's saying.
But-
so
It's great. I recommend this book. If you can
Awesome.
find it, I've never even seen it before.
That's
But
awesome.
You can find it, buy it. All right, Ryan, that's
All right,
mine.
Ryan, what you got?
Okay, so I picked up Tales from the Dark Multiverse, Batman Nightfall. It's a different take on the whole Nightfall storyline when Batman was broken by Bane and Azrael took over for Batman.
That's what I thought the White Knight was. That's when I picked it up and I was reading it. And I'm like, what does this have to do with Azrael? Okay, thank you for actually telling me that that's not that book.
Right. This is Elseworlds What If tale taking place in this other universe. So there's this one character that keeps showing, excuse me, that's going to show up in all these books, I'm assuming. And he kind of has the role of the Watcher. And so they're going to be doing a whole bunch of books where major events that happen in the DC universe, how it actually took place in the Dark universe where the Joker Who Laughs is coming from. So in this, Batman comes back, but Azrael doesn't want to give up the mantle, so he takes out Batman. And it gets to the point where Batman's basically hooked up, it's just his head hooked up to a computer. Yeah.
A little Armin Zola.
Futurama?
And every year on the same night, Azrael goes and talks to Bruce Wayne and tries to get his approval on how he's running Gotham. And Bruce will never give in on it. And this kid shows up, and you think it's Damian Wayne, but it's actually Bane's son. Who
Zane?
I can't remember what his name is. But
It's probably like Bill.
no, it's
Like, what was it? Kazar's?
Turver maybe?
Mike.
Matt.
But because Bane did so much venom, he was born where he has the power to kind of turn into bulking Bane without getting shot up with venom. You learn that Azrael, in the meantime, is addicted to venom. And so this kid ends up saving Bruce, and he has some kind of technology. He's like, here. And he turns him into a Batman of sorts, where there's a body, but it's kind of like that electronic, creepy, flashing body type. You know what I'm talking about at all? Kind of see it in sci-fi movies all the time, where kind of like in The Ring, where the girl's coming out, and she's all staticky,
The
and
flicker?
yeah, creeps me out. Anyhow, and Shiva shows up. So Shiva and Bane's kid go to take out Azrael, and Azrael's wife has had enough of him. So she took away all his venom and said, yeah, I used to believe in what you did, and now you don't seem to care anymore. And so one of Azrael's goons kills her, and they start all fighting, and the static, flickering Batman is up there, and he has this power to shoot, like, bats at people. And so one guy loses his head completely, and Azrael's like, yeah, I may not be on venom, but I still have access to venom. So he goes over and rips the kid's arm off and drinks his blood and bulks up and goes after him. And they end up beating him, and all of them standing together and going, yeah, we got Shiva and the kid and Batman all standing together, and now we can bring the city back together and get them reconnected with the world again. And Batman's like, yeah, I don't think so. He kills Shiva, he kills the kid, and you can see the technology kind of went nuts in his head, and he's basically saying, this is my city, and we're never repairing it. This is the way I wanted it. So he did approve of what Azrael was doing. He just didn't want to give Azrael the approval. It was weird.
Sounds like it. Killing kids and
Yeah, it was something.
Indian gods and all kinds of stuff.
I'd say it's probably a 3-star, 2.5, 3. I want to read all of them because they're doing one of Blackest Night, so obviously I'll keep hanging in there and seeing the storytelling. But this one was by Snyder and Higgins. It was an interesting take. Snyder seems to be really fascinated with the whole making Batman as crazy as possible in any book he's touching with Batman right now. I don't get it, but, whatever. All right. The next one is The Ghost Rider, #1, but the Western Ghost Rider. This was published back in 1967.
Nice.
Yeah. I have never read a cowboy comic.
No?
No. Main reason is my dad is like huge cowboy guy. Every vacation revolves around going someplace where there was a cowboy somewhere, oh, this cowboy stayed at this location one time, passing through or whatever. Yeah. Oh, and this is a sleeping bag he slept in, and he's taking pictures next to it with selfie. That he's
Okay.
I love my dad, but this cowboy thing has just gone a little too far. Anyhow, so I've stayed away.
So you don't approve of his weird?
His weird is his weird.
Does he approve of your weird?
If it makes him happy, it's all good. I was raised on cowboy movies constantly, everything. I had no desire to read a cowboy book. I like this. It was not what I was expecting at all. So this is the original Ghost Rider. Starts off where he is a school teacher riding along, and he sees a house being attacked by a bunch of Native Americans, or so he thinks. I figured that out like on the first page, because all of them were speaking perfect English. I'm like, yeah, that's not them. So, and it turned out that it was a bunch of guys that were trying to prevent people from settling in the area, and they were dressing up like Indians to stop that. And he gets shot, and the family he was trying to save, the mom and dad died, but the son was in the cellar, came out of the cellar after everybody left and saw him, so he grabs him, puts him on a horse, and is trying to take him to town. Well, he turns out to go in the wrong direction. The friendly Native Americans see him, and they take him back to their tribe. They have the boy rest, and the medicine man thinks he lost this guy, but he ends up surviving. And he's like, I was told by the gods that you're supposed to be our great hero. We were given this dust. Take this dust and do good with it. And in the meantime, he does find a white horse that he's absolutely enthralled with. So the Native Americans are trying to catch it for him. They can't get it. So he walks over to the horse calmly, and apparently the horse is like, hey, cool. All right. So he names the horse Banshee. And he figures out this powder is able to reflect light. So he covers himself in this powder and Banshee in this powder and goes after the people that were dressed up like the Indians and tries to get them to stop doing raiding the settlers and scaring them off and everything. And he's able to make his head float and his body just appear, and they're shooting at him and bullets don't hit him, and he's just, everybody thinks he's a ghost. And hence Ghost Rider. They end up killing the bad guy. Everybody's happy. The backup story is Kid Colt is a reprint, and somebody ends up dressing up like Kid Colt and robbing the place that Kid Colt's staying at. And so the sheriff goes up to arrest him, and Kid Colt's like, I don't know what's going on. And he breaks out and runs away, and he figures out what's going on, and obviously he saves the day. I could care less about that story. The Ghost Rider story, though, was really cool. I'm like, this is neat. I liked what they did there. You got that supernatural world in the Western world, and it was a fun read. So thank you, Nick.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Who wrote that?
Oh, boy. That is written by Gary Frederick, who created Motorcycle Ghost Rider, Roy Thomas.
Roy Thomas is pretty badass.
It was drawn by Dick Ayers, inked by Vince Coletta, and then lettered by Jay Verpooten.
It's for Putin.
For Putin. Okay.
I'm
Awesome.
glad you like it, because it's one of my favorites.
That was, I'm like,
And then they go and bastardize him in the Ghost Rider movie.
yeah, it was really good. And if I happen to ever run across a copy of that, I'm probably going to pick it up because I enjoyed it that much.
Awesome. All right, is that it, Ryan?
Yeah.
For this week's list, it really isn't comic book based. We decided to do our top 10
Suspense.
favorite suspense, scary horror movie type thing. Who wants to go first?
Oh, I will.
Okay.
All right. Number 10, Psycho. 9, Usual Suspects. 8, it's more of a comedy film, but I love it too much, and it's very much a suspense in certain scenes. Arsenic and Old Lace. 7, Memento. 6, Vertigo. 5, Identity. 4, Rear Window. 3, 7. 2, The Game. And 1, North by Northwest.
Wow. It's a lot of Hitchcock on here.
Nice.
I love Hitchcock.
You want to go, Nick, or I go?
Sure, I'll go.
Okay.
My list is a little bit different. I went more horror movie kind of thing. Horror kind of scary movie. And I went in order of how many times I've watched it. So 10 is the least and 1 is the most. Number 10, Chopping Mall. It's so stupid, it's great. Number 9, Friday the 13th. Number 8, The Thing. Number 7, The Fog. Number 6, Phantasm. Number 5, Pumpkinhead. Number 4, Prom Night. This is where, okay, I can't remember how many times I watched Prom Night, but I think it's more than Aliens. But Aliens is number 2, 3. 2 is Halloween. And number 1, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark.
Nice.
I've only seen one of those, and it was Chopping Mall.
Yeah?
Yeah. Never seen any of the others.
No.
So I mixed in thriller and kind of horror. So my number 10 is The Bone Collector.
Well, that's a good one.
Number 9 is The Shining. Number 8 is Friday the 13th, Part 3. Because that's the only one I've seen. And it's really campy. And number 7, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Number 6, Lost Boys. Number 5, Scream. Number 4, Seven. Number 3, Evil Dead. Number 2, Silence of the Lambs. And number 1, Chopping Mall.
Okay, I've seen 7 of those, so.
It had to be number 1 on mine because it's just so campy and stupid.
Have a nice day.
Have a nice day. So, anybody got anything else this week?
Not really. Netflix is bringing out a Bone cartoon, which is going to be pretty cool. I can't wait for that. Other than that, I need to start writing this stuff down. They premiered the Bloodshot movie trailer today.
Oh, did
with
they?
Vin Diesel.
Is it pitch black? Only he's bloodshot?
Yes. And so Sony is doing the exact same thing they did with everything else. Why would Bloodshot wear the white costume? Why would he have a complete white skin? Why would he have a red dot on his chest? He doesn't have any of those things. He's just Vin Diesel with a red glow in his chest so you can see his rib cage. Thanks.
Wow.
So anybody who loves Valiant comics, they fucked you.
I just picked up a Bloodshot trade.
Yeah.
An old one. I think I got it at Half Price Books.
Yeah.
And I was going to read it, and I hope.
It looks like they got the origin story correct, but just,
it's just you don't
the
like
fact that
the way they made.
Yeah, they didn't make him look like Bloodshot. He's just a dude with a glowing chest. So, and then I also watched, which is funny, I had a night by myself so I could watch whatever I wanted to.
Hey, congratulations.
And guess what I watched?
Stumptown.
I did. I watched 2 episodes of Stumptown. I have not watched the new one. But I will say they were really good. The Switch ending at the end of
this week.
The Switch ending, really good.
You watched Banana Splits.
I watched Banana Splits, the movie. So dumb, but so weird. It's like Terminator meets Showbiz Pizza.
Awesome.
Their show's getting canceled after 40 years, and robots go nuts.
Start killing
And they start killing people. Yeah, the audience members. It's a fun movie. What would I give it? I don't know, like 2. But it's just watching the old Banana Splits murder people. It's so weird. Like they're running down people in the Banana Splits car. They're like,
what channel was this on?
Sci-Fi.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh man, I missed it.
It's on demand for free right now.
Okay. Huh.
So be like, Teresa, guess what? We're watching Banana Splits.
How to convince your sister to watch Banana Splits?
But no, it's gory. It's gross.
Yeah, she won't watch it then. I'll have to watch it by myself.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. That's all I got.
That's all you got, Ryan. You got anything this week?
Stumptown.
I'm trying to think if there's...
I wasn't going to do it this week. I really wasn't.
Oh, and I watched the first half of Batwoman the show. Pretty good so far.
Yeah.
I stopped watching it and I got out of on demand, and then I had to watch it all over again. And I was like, nope, I don't care. But it's good. It's Batwoman.
Yeah.
It's a Batman show.
Yeah.
Finally.
Like a real Batman, not Gotham.
Yeah.
I was excited for Gotham until I realized what they were doing with it.
Yeah. She's a badass in that. So,
yeah.
pretty cool.
What did I see? Oh, you guys are going to be so sad. Rob Liefeld has left Marvel, and his lawyers are involved.
6th or 7th time.
I knew you guys would be shocked and devastated.
Who's he taking with him?
I don't know.
Because if his lawyers are involved, he's taking a character back. Major X.
Apparently, he's pissed because when they did the relaunch of the X-Men, they shut down Major X.
I thought it was only like a 6-issue miniseries.
Apparently not to him. So, yeah, he was bagging on it, and I'm like, bagging on X-Men releasing so many titles, and he's like, everybody's like, dude, you were around when they released, like, X-Men and X-Force, and, you know. So, yeah. I thought you guys would be upset and devastated by the news, as I was. So, that's all I had for this week. Yeah, have fun, read more comics. It's been Kirk,
Ryan,
and Nick. See you.
See you guys.